project. I did the digestive system anatomy lab, so let's jump right in. First I have the salivary glands. I put a number to each one and then I labeled it, and as you can see at the bottom I put in a little bit of extra facts. So they all contain digestive enzymes such as amylase, and these glands produce saliva, which helps in mastication and lubrication of your food. So moving on, we have the organs in the abdominal pelvic region. So from an anterior perspective, I labeled all the way from your liver to your sigmoid colon. Now remember that the kidneys and a few other things are posterior to these organs, so they're not seen in this photo, but they're still there. So next we have, name that spot. In the middle of your abdominal region, between all four quadrants, there's a landmark, and that would be your belly button. So next, what organ takes up the majority of the right upper quadrant? This would be your liver and your gallbladder, and it's important to remember that your right is not the right that you're referring to. It's the right of your patient, so it's going to be opposite for you. So following that tip, what is the organ that takes up the majority of the left upper quadrant? That would be your stomach, and of course that's associated with the spleen, so I put that in there too. Next, three organs that touch the inferior surface of the diaphragm. So remember, your diaphragm is covering these organs, so it would be your liver, stomach, and spleen, and inferior, of course, is the bottom portion. So next, what organs in the abdominal pelvic cavity are closest to the pubic bone? So this is mainly actually focusing on the pelvic region, and it would be your small intestine and sigmoid colon, and I tried to get a picture that would represent how low they are. So next, what organs lie directly below or deep to your belly button? So yes, at deep would mean like right behind it, I guess. So that would be your small intestine, jejunum. So next, we're labeling a coronal cross-section, and I again matched the letter with what the organ is. There's not a lot of leeway with this because anatomy there's only one right answer. So yeah, you can look at those, study those. Following this is the sagittal cross-section, so from the side, and this would be a female cadaver. So again, matching them all up. It's important to note that number 2, you can tell is the bladder because it's a very hollow and open organ. So that's always a hint you can use to help you out. Then we have a male sagittal cross-section. So again, from the side, you're splitting it down the middle between left and right. And as I just covered, the bladder is the same in both, and you can tell because of how it looks. So next, humans have 2 kidneys on either side, and no, they are not equal in height. The left kidney is actually slightly higher due to the angle of the heart and the liver pushing down, so to speak, on the right kidney. So that's always something that you can use to help position yourself in the body. I know I definitely have used that, so something to think about. Next we have this picture, and it's asking you to differentiate which side is anterior and posterior. So there are some things that you can use. As you can see, the spinal cord, which is that hollow hole in the back, that is where your spinal cord would go, and that is something that's very helpful to help to position yourself. And then in the front, you can see actually like the abducens and the muscles, which would be anterior to everything else. So now to label that image, we have the large intestine, and then small intestines, left kidney and right kidney. And as I was saying earlier, the kidneys, you can kind of see here how they're both kidneys, but obviously they look different, and that is due to their positioning. So D is higher up, so that means that C would be cut off more. So next we have the aorta versus the vena cava, and the aorta is going to be thicker, and that is because it has to pump more, and then the vena cava is a vein, so it's going to be more flimsy in a sense. So then we have more labeling. I put lines to help you see, but again, using everything that we talked about before, like A would be more dense, so obviously it's going to be darker, which helps you tell that it's the liver, and then you can use that same process all the way through. Next we have this, so we're just labeling the different curvatures and omentums, so you can definitely mostly memorize this. It's a lot of a memorizing game for anatomy, but these pictures definitely should help for that. So now we have some different arteries and veins, and as you can see in this, the two pictures have different things. So the mesenteric vein is shown on the left-hand picture, and then the other picture has the arteries and vagus nerve. And so obviously, as I said, anatomy is a lot of memorization, and that can be hard sometimes. So I came up with a mnemonic. So I have from liver all the way down to bladder. We have little guys steal stupid treasures and discover secret caves about Santa's bubbles. Now I know it's a little dumb, but this has helped me to memorize kind of where everything lines up in the stomach. And of course, this is from the anterior view of a stomach, so it's missing out the kidneys and obviously everything above the abdominal pelvic region. So it doesn't include everything, but it's definitely something to help with. And if you know these, then you can figure out the other ones from that. So yeah, that's all I have today, but thank you for tuning in.